This issue is about assimilation. It is about the myth of assimilation, because ultimately Vivek, if you evaluate who he is in a vacuum, and I grew up with these people, I know them all. I've worked with Keralites, Telugus, Tamils, Marathis. I've worked with Gujaratis, okay? I know India very, very, very well. What you're hearing from Vivek is a completely hostile and foreign culture. His family comes from Kerala. Kerala is a state in southwestern India, but originally his family is from Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu is heavily involved in the tech industry, the software industry in India, okay? But his family comes from an upper class in India. They are what's called Brahmins. Every Indian virtually in the United States comes from two castes, the Brahmins and the Kshatriyas. They are the upper class in India. It's very important to understand that, because in India itself, when you ask Americans, you might say, how many Indians work in software? 5 million people in a country of 1.5 billion work in software in India. Now, why is that? Because India has a caste system. It has over 3,000 different castes, because there is absolutely no equality in India, because at every level of their society, there is complete divisiveness by language, by religion, by race. India is one of the most racially divided societies in the world. People think the United States is the most diverse country in the world. That is nonsense. It is India, and it's not close. What that has created is a wildly dysfunctional society in which the elites at the top regard the rest of everybody as at the bottom. And if you want to make it in India, route number one, you work for the government. Route number two, you go into software. Or route number three, you become a doctor. If you do those things, you make money and you perpetuate your caste. If you do not, you live in filth and poverty and you're nothing. This is why Vivek tweeted what he did. The issue is that's not how you run a functional society. You need a middle class. You need organic, low-level, highly capable people. That is the antithesis of the caste system that dominates India. And remember that the average IQ in India is in the mid-70s. Now, some of that is probably because of malnutrition. Some of it is because the conditions, the socioeconomic conditions in India are, to say they are Dickensian is an understatement. It goes well beyond what anybody in the Western world can imagine. If you look at China and how China became a modern industrial power, because it has. In 40 years, that country has completely transformed. And I have been to China. I saw it up close. They did the opposite of what Vivek argued. They created a program called Common Prosperity. And if you read any of the Chinese documents, what they insisted upon is that their growth model would center on Western economic principles with Chinese characteristics, executed by Chinese manufacturing, by Chinese human capital. In other words, the very opposite of what Vivek and Elon Musk have proposed. But what you're hearing from these two men, specifically from Vivek, is a completely foreign and hostile culture that has nothing to do with the egalitarian, homogenous white culture that built the United States and made it a global power.